It's interesting, though. You hear a lot of people weighing in on this potential McGregor-Mayweather matchup. For some reason, so many people want to see it, though. I've mocked that matchup forever, and now it actually looks like it's possibly going to happen. And I've had to eat my words, but it's tough for me, obviously, being loyal to MMA, to see guys like Khabib, Tony Ferguson, especially Tony Ferguson, have anybody Ferguson, and guys like Kevin Lee, Chiesa, all these guys at 155 waiting for a shot. And now we're hung up. We're probably going to have another potentially an interim title. We're seeing that often in weight classes. That's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, no, you gotta remember it's whatever Dana wants to see. So if Dana wants that fight, that's the fight that's going to happen. Because if Dana wanted Roy Nelson to fight for the championship, we'd already have that, and we'd already have Roy Nelson as champion. It's not that hard. So it's whatever really Dana wants. If Dana wants Conor to be, the six-fight title, women's champion, and UFC champion, to be the first one to hold a woman and a male title, that would happen.
You've gone on your winning streaks. You've fought some of the best guys, and you haven't gotten your title shot yet. When you evaluate your career right now and the ultimate goal to be champion, is there anything that you feel like you need to change, or is it just continuing to win fights, do what you need to do, and make it so that they can't avoid you fighting for the title?
You know what? I used to believe about that title, but the title don't mean you can buy it for $500. That sells. I think they sell it on the UFC.com website. So that really doesn't mean anything. So it's really about being like somebody like like Mark Hunt getting paid $750 or $800 grand. Alistair Overeem getting paid $800 grand. Never won the title. Just guys that for myself, somebody that knows what they're worth and what they bring to the table. That's really all that matters. Because at the end of the day, all people want to do is watch me fight. So I'm happy about that, because the only people that I care about are actually the fans.
The Nurmagomedov-Tony Ferguson debacle, right, which only further shook up this weight division now, as all you great athletes are waiting to see what the hell is next, what's going on with your title. Khabib has had some trouble making the weight. I don't think he is a bigger guy than you. Maybe he gets up to the same weight, but in terms of frame and height, no way. And I've been around him, and he's a good guy, but it really just comes down to the discipline. How frustrating was that for you, a fellow guy who cuts plenty of weight, but gets on there and makes it? Was that a frustrating thing for you to watch?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I struggle as much as the next guy. I might be the similar weight. I know Ferguson gets up there big. Khabib does. James Vick's a big guy. But I put the pounds on, and I'm very lean, dude. So when I'm having to cut weight, I'm battling just as much as the next guy. And it's just to me, I'm thinking it's always going to be painful. It's always going to hurt. Maybe he's going to go see this doctor and figure out that there's something wrong with him. But at the end of the day, it's about how bad do you want it? I swear to God, Brian, if I was in his position getting ready the night before to fight for the interim title and I'm 5 pounds away, I don't care how much pain I am in. I will let myself die in my bedroom before I would go to the hospital. You know what I mean? You have to, when you make these drastic weight cuts, you have to have that mentality. You can't at one point ever have that be an option. You knew the job was dirty when you signed up for it. You either live by the sword or die by the sword. And if you're going to be one of these guys that's going to cut a lot of weight, which we all know is a huge portion of this roster, you pretty much, at least for myself, in my mind, it's I'm either going to make this weight or I'm going to die. You know what I mean? That's just you just have to have that mentality. Otherwise, you're going to end up, coming up short, quitting, going to get an IV. And I'm not trying to say anything bad to Khabib. Maybe there is something wrong. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say I hope that's the case, but that could be it. So I'm not taking a shot at anybody. I'm just saying for myself personally, that's the mindset I have, and that's the same one I think everyone else should have when it comes to making these weight cuts.
This is one of those fight nights where some of the fight nights the UFC puts together, right? You get a main event and it's kind of ho-hum, okay, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But this is one to me that really stands out because both you guys are on great win streaks. Both of you guys are legitimate people who can contend and win the title one day. And that time could be much sooner than people realize. So I think that this is a fight, especially with the way you're getting into selling your brand. And he's an outspoken guy, too. Both guys well-spoken. This could be a lot of fun. And so you guys will be together, though. May, you're going to go to Oklahoma City and do a press conference?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. I think the UFC knows exactly what they're doing. You know, they did this last year with Cody Garbrandt, where he went from an unranked contender all the way to all the way to the champion. You know, so in one calendar year. So I think the UFC knows exactly what they're doing, and I'm going to look to copy him. I'm going to go from unranked this year to the number one contender by December, right when the 2018 rolls around. Will be the number one contender. So you know, the UFC knows what they're doing. They're marketing it the right way. And it's just my job to go out there and put the stamp on it.
So a performance line. Dana, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
So first and foremost, UFC 210, Cormier Johnson going to be taking place in the great city of Buffalo, New York. Get your wings now. Pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. What are you most excited about with this fight?
It's a good card. I mean, there's a few fights. Obviously, the main event, Cormier versus Anthony Johnson. You know, Anthony Johnson is one of the scariest, most dangerous guys in the division. Knockout power. But Cormier, I mean, Cormier's seen it all. He's fought everybody. I mean, he fought at heavyweight, and he's been at light heavyweight pretty much since he's been in the UFC. So, obviously, a fun fight there. Chris Weidman versus Gegard Mousasi is an amazing fight. That's the co-main event. And there's a woman fight, Cynthia Cavillo is her name, and she's new to the UFC. Her last fight, she looked like a rock star. So I turned her around, brought her right back against another tough woman in Pearl Gonzalez. I'm really excited for that fight.
Dana, you told a great story the other night on Conan O'Brien about you fighting Tito Ortiz. Can you tell me that story real quick? Like, what happened?
Well, obviously, we were a lot younger, and it was right after we bought the company. We were flying to Japan to go out there and look at an event, and we had just landed to refuel, and Tito and I were messing around, and Tito put me in what's called a neck crank, and I tapped, and when I tapped, he didn't stop. And it's a dangerous move. You can herniate discs. You can do a lot of damage to somebody's neck. So I just started punching him in the ribs as hard as I could. And he let go, and we both just jumped up swinging and started fighting. And the plane was actually taking off up into the air.
And it was real. Like, you guys were ticked.
Oh, no, we were fighting. Oh, yeah, it was real. And the Fertittas had to jump up and break the fight up, and yeah.
How many fighters have tried
the good old
you?
Days of the UFC.
Has anybody else tried you? Has any other fighters tried you like that?
No, I've never been. Listen, the last thing I'm looking to do is get in a fight with any UFC fighters. That was a weird situation.
Yeah, it's probably not good business to mess with the boss either.
Yeah, no, it's not good business to fight with UFC fighters either.
Right.
It's definitely not good. It's not good for your future.
UFC 210, Cormier Johnson 2, taking place Saturday, April 8th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. The event airing live on pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. It's been an amazing journey, Dana. I'm sure that you're obviously in the moment and focusing on the fights that are in front of you. But I was just thinking about the fact I interviewed you years ago when I used to work at the Score back in Toronto, and just how big UFC was in Ontario at the time. It was a big deal that we could finally get those fights there. Have you? I'm sure you're not the reflective type, but have you looked at this journey the last 5-7 years you've been on and even been amazed at it yourself?
Yeah, I have my moments. The way that I look at it is I still see, where we're going. The sport's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But yeah, I obviously look back and think about where we were in the early days. And, people always ask me, did you ever really think that it would be this big? I know you're a promoter and you used to say this stuff back in the day, but yeah, I absolutely did believe it. I believed in this thing because I've always said this, and it's absolutely true. Doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter what country you're from, doesn't matter what language you speak. We're all human beings, and fighting is in our DNA. We get it and we like it. It works everywhere.
Dana, I feel like you must get tired of getting asked the question of Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, the fight if it happens. So I'm not going to ask about that one specifically. But if it happened, do you think it would open up other opportunities for crossover fights, or would that be a one-and-done type deal?
Yeah, I don't get tired of it. It's an intriguing fight. It really is intriguing. If you break the thing down and listen, everybody has their opinions, and I'm not saying who's going to win or lose, but Floyd's 40 years old. Conor's 27. Floyd has trouble with southpaws. Conor's a southpaw. Conor has, knockout power in both hands, and Floyd does not. So it's an intriguing fight. And no, I don't like the idea of it opening up a bunch of different crossover fights. But you know, now that this thing's been talked about so big, you know, it's all everybody wants to talk about now. And my guy is saying they want to fight that guy, and other boxers saying they want to fight this guy. No, this is going to be a one and done.
As far as I know, it's a one and done, but just one more for you, Dana. As far as athletes who would be great at UFC and other sports, and I'm sure you hear this all the time. If you had an option, like imagine LeBron James in the octagon. Do you guys ever just
get Gronk?
Gronk. Is there a name that you think, you know what, he really would dominate if he was in our discipline?
No, it's true. Absolutely. You know, I'm a huge Patriots fan, and they always ask me, you know, which Patriots. I mean, Gronk is a no-brainer. If you look at a guy like Gronk or a guy like LeBron, if those guys trained in mixed martial arts when they were kids, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't see them transitioning into MMA now, but when they were kids, if this is what they would have focused on, yeah, they'd be studs.
How long would Brady last?
Well, Brady, that's the thing about Brady. Brady's so gritty and tough, and you know, everybody's been talking about, you know, backup quarterbacks for Brady all these years. Well, it finally got played out last year. I mean, the two guys, you know, they had to go to the third string. Everybody was getting hurt, and they both got hurt. Brady goes in and plays all season long. He plays whether he's hurt or not. It's just, the guy's a stud.
How many NBA players would it take to take down an MMA fighter?
How many NBA players? You know, I would say that the fighting has got better in the NBA. Back in the day, it used to look like slap fighting, you know. NBA players were like the worst fighters in all of sports, but it's getting better.
They were king of the hold me back. They were king of that.
Exactly. Yeah, that too.
Awesome.
Great stuff. Once again, as always, our friend Dana White. Cormier Johnson taking place Saturday, April 8th, KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. Live pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much for the time, man.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.